1996 in the state of Oregon was anything but typical. The snows had fallen late, but heavily in the Cascade Mountains. Along the coast and in the Willamette Valley, rain fell in soaking torrents, saturating the ground and swelling mountain streams. Then, as if consorting together, the various forces of nature began to unleash their fury during the early days of February. As the pending devastation began to escalate, it became apparent that the call for National Guard support would soon be heard.
We've mobilized about 150 National Guard troops, and they're being deployed in terms of water purification, distribution, the power generation, and communications with road openings.
The first summons came February 4th from the small community of Union in eastern Oregon. Members of the National Guard unit in LeGrand joined in sandbagging efforts to protect the town. Just like the waters that would ravage much of the state, the flood of requests for Guard support began to pour into the State Emergency Operations Center. In the days and weeks that would follow, Oregonians would see more than 1,500 of the state's citizen soldiers at their best. Spread throughout 36 communities, these traditional Guardsmen were ready, willing, and able to help their neighbors in this time of need. From the beginning, National Guard helicopters were pressed into service. UH-1 Hueys from the 1042nd Medical Company assisted with search and rescue missions in the Willamette Valley and other parts of the state. Reporter Mark Miller from KVAL Television in Eugene has the story of one of the more than 75 persons rescued by Guard helicopter crews.
Day after day, the so-called Wings of Mercy fly training missions. Yes, there's the satisfaction that comes with flying these beautiful birds and working as a team, but it's all still just a drill.
Give me some references down here.
Then came the flood, and overnight, air ambulance crews of the Army National Guard found themselves challenged to their limits in real rescue missions in which lives hung in the balance.
All right, we're moving into recovery mode. I'm into the wind.
A National Guard helicopter fitted with an infrared video camera captured one of those lives, a ghostly speck of a man trapped on top of his car by rising floodwaters.
Once we got down and got a closer look with the night vision goggles, we could tell that the currents were rather high, and he didn't have much left at the top of his car that he was standing on.
Navigating in a driving rainstorm with no moonlight, pilot Tim Baker relies on the infrared eye of a second chopper. It's clear their victim is in big trouble.
We determined that it was life-threatening. If he went into the water, we probably weren't going to be able to recover him.
Back at the air station, pilot Craig Stiff from the second chopper explains how the crew made the daring rescue that night.
What we're doing at this point is watching Sergeant Del Grosso coming down on the rescue hoist. Just to the left of our victim on the roof of the car, Sergeant Del Grosso is just coming down into the water at this point.
Within about 20 seconds, you can see the infrared image of both Del Grosso and his precious cargo slowly rising up into the safety of the helicopter.
We were at our best. I don't think that it could have gone much better than it did.
12 days later, Del Grosso and crew embark on a mission that will end in a rare reunion with the man they saved.
How you doing, man? I'm the guy you pulled off the roof of the car. Nice to meet you. What's your name?
31-year-old Kerry Ritters warmly greets his rescuers in a Corvallis Airport hangar near his home.
I mean, I can't thank you guys enough. You know what I mean? I know it's you guys are pros, it's your job, but hey, you know, what if you guys wouldn't have been there, man? I wouldn't be here now. That's the way I feel about it.
Ritter's 9-year-old boy, Chris, seems to realize that, too.
I was happy that my dad didn't drown and stuff. I would have been pretty sad.
Outside, Ritter takes a look at the Huey that emerged from the blackness after he stood on top of his car for 3.5 hours, wondering if he would ever see his family again.
Fantastic, man.
The reunion provides closure for everybody.
It's great. You know, it's really nice to know that we did some good.
For me, it adds meaning to the whole story, you know. It wasn't really complete till now, till we've met him, so it is exciting. We're going to keep in touch.
Absolutely.
There are many more like Kerry Ritters whom the crew will never meet again. The Wings of Mercy flew rescue missions around the clock for the first 3.5 days of the flood. They will always take pride in their contribution and in the contributions of everyday citizens who don't have wings, just big hearts.
selflessly help each other. They come to each other's assistance, and we saw so much of it. There's a lot of good people in this state, and probably most of them live right next door to you. You don't even know.
In the skies above Salem, with photographer Barry Johnson, Mark Miller, Northwest News.
U.S. Senator Ron Wyden spoke with President Clinton regarding federal disaster aid, and then flew in a Guard helicopter to a middle school in the Salem area to speak with volunteers and students. Congresswoman Elizabeth First used a Guard Humvee to travel through high water to visit city officials in Lake Oswego, Tualatin, and rural communities in her district. Congressman Jim Bunn also visited disaster areas. He was on a Guard helicopter when the crew received a rescue mission call. He cut short his tour so the chopper crew could perform its duties. Major General Raymond Reese, the Adjutant General of the Oregon National Guard, also used Guard air assets to visit soldiers during this emergency. The towns of Vernonia and Mist were hit hard by the floods. General Reese visited with Eric Larson, who saw the river that normally meanders along behind his home grow to a raging torrent that ate away most of his backyard and threatened his home. Guard engineers were soon on hand to repair the damage.
For the Guard has just been coming through like troopers. I mean, I hate to use the term, but you know, they said they'd help me out, and by God, they are. It's yeah, don't ever let no president cut your funding here.
In the city of Vernonia, General Reese met with disaster relief coordinators and the mayor. He observed guardsmen helping with food and clothing distribution, as well as providing equipment to assist the displaced citizens. The general also viewed the aftermath of the river's strength and fury. This small community saw the Guard pitch in and help move a load of hay, so vital to the survival of their livestock. General Reese took a few minutes to thank and encourage guardsmen who were working with the citizens of Mist. Majestic snow-covered Mount Hood feeds the Sandy River with springtime runoff. However, it was the rains of winter that caused the river to literally cut a new course that threatened these homes in Timber Rim. Once again, the Guard was there to prevent major property damage. The torrential rains not only pushed rivers over their banks, but saturated the soil as well. Highly trained Guard volunteers answered many calls to clear slide areas and haul away mud and debris. Keeping unauthorized sightseers out of the disaster areas was another important Guard mission. Often working with law enforcement officials, the Guardsmen kept traffic moving, which allowed cleanup to proceed. Air National Guardsmen from California and Oregon worked together at the Portland Air Base. An Air Guard C-130 had just delivered 250,000 sandbags.
So yeah, it's a great honor for us to be able to give back to our country in a positive way and not just in a military or destructive type of way.
The much-needed bags were loaded into Guard vehicles and shipped out. As the massive volunteer effort to save homes, businesses, and livestock continued, the President of the United States paid a visit to the state. General Reese was first to greet him as he stepped off Air Force One. President Clinton toured the area and then assured those ravaged by the floods that the government would be there to help.
You will have our help, I assure you of that, in the job of cleaning up and rebuilding. And we will help you until it is finished.
Many who heard the president speak on the banks of the Willamette River would remember the floods of 1964. If the equipment and technology the Guard provided in '96 had been available 32 years earlier, perhaps some of the 70 persons who died could have been saved. Technological improvements, such as night vision devices worn by helicopter crews as they flew night surveillance along the dikes on the Columbia River, would have been welcomed in '64. Not taking any chances, the Air National Guard stationed on the south side of Portland International Airport moved their F-15 fighters to higher ground at the Colwood Golf Course near the airport. With water everywhere, many citizens actually found themselves without drinking water. The Oregon Guard's newly designated 41st Enhanced Infantry Brigade had recently received a mobile water purification unit. It was immediately pressed into service. The Guard also delivered water to many areas in 400-gallon water trailers. To list all of the Oregon National Guard missions during the floods would fill pages. Some required many soldiers and much equipment. Other requests were for liaison officers to work with local government officials in coordinating Guard support.
I want to thank the National Guard, which has done about everything it could to help, and I understand they even airdropped hay to cattle cut off by water on Sovies Island.
Guard volunteers reached a peak of 750 on duty at one time. They were the men and women who drove the 33 5-ton trucks, delivered the 31 water trailers, and manned the water purification unit. They were the skilled operators of the 5 front-end loaders, 4 excavators, and the road grader that opened roads and saved homes. They were the pilots and crewmen of the 7 Huey and 2 Chinook helicopters that plucked stranded folks from oncoming floodwaters and provided medical support to those in need. Simply put, they are your brothers, sisters, friends, and neighbors. To these citizen soldiers, the people of Oregon say,
I said you guys are doing a tremendous job. Absolutely tremendous. We really appreciate you being here.
Every last one of them I come in contact with as courteous and helpful as could possibly be. We enjoyed having them, and thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thanks a bunch. There's no way I can thank them all.
The National Guard, and those guys came in. Bless their hearts. Boy, were we happy to see those guys.
I think they are fantastic.
All the other people here appreciate you too, and I want to thank you very much.
I mean, I know it's you guys are pros, it's your job, but hey, you know, what if you guys wouldn't have been there, man? I wouldn't be here now. That's the way I feel about it.